absolutely. I am still pretty pessimistic, though not nearly as badly as Game 1. Game 1 felt like the game was over as soon as like the laning phase wasn't dominated by Gambit. Then they were just naturally going to go into a big game that they couldn't contest. So this game's already starting out okay. Liquid smoked up and ran around looking for an early first blood. Didn't find it. And now pushing forward for the bounties. But Gambit is a lot more capable of defending bounties compared to last game.
It feels, though, with this lineup that Liquid have put together, it could be a lot more volatile for Gambit. Let's say if the laning phase doesn't work out, do Liquid have potential to just really mow them over? Look at these auras that they're dealing. You have Beastmaster, you have Venge. I mean, technically, Shadow Fiend has an aura they can bring to the table. It feels like if they get what they want through the laning phase, they could just start taking towers, taking Roche, and then this game could be over sooner than later. Yeah,
it's a good SF game, and Liquid are running one of my favorite strategies, which is damage amplification auras with SF or Medusa. I feel like both of those heroes really thrive when you have like the attack speed aura from the Beastmaster or minus armor that you're able to apply onto people. This is going to be a devastatingly strong SF. So Gambit definitely need to be able to stack up on armor items because I'm anticipating Koifa to be going sort of a right-click build. And they need to be able to gank this SF a couple times, especially since GPK is already going to have a bit of a hard lane. Any sort of melee matchup where you are just susceptible to race stacking is going to be a bit difficult.
We're seeing again, as they battle over the outposts at the top, Insania staying far and away from the lane so that his lane partner, Mickey, can get that solo XP burst on the Ember Spirit. Trying to just get, up in the hair of this Earthshaker. But Earthshaker also Vampire, stepping away from the lane, and just kind of eyeballs this mid lane Quakefa a bit. And it was something else Peter called in the laning phase. They need to have the assistance, certainly around the rune spawns, to give GPK as, comfortable of a time as possible in this mid lane.
Yeah, speaking to the support experience, it's really important. Like, sometimes your carriers will complain, like, oh, why aren't you in lane more or whatever. But if you know you can't have an impact on the lane, just don't be there in experience range. Like, the shorter amount of time your carry has to be in lane, if it's a bad lane, just let him get the solo experience, let him get to level 5 or level 6 or whatever point he's able to go off and jungle or start making rotations and just like limit that amount of time as much as possible. And against a Timbersaw, against, for example, this Ember Spirit, he can't actually pressure that hero that much. So Insania is mostly going to be focusing on getting experience from pulling more than anything else.
Yeah, a lot about what these supports are going to be doing with their time, that they're stepping away from the lanes, making some stacks, making some side pulls, threatening the mid lane. Insania kind of going with the route you talked about, finding those pulls on the side, getting a little bit of XP, while Earthshaker is looking for maybe a kill opportunity in the mid lane. Am I missing some hype musical chairs action here?
Yeah.
What is happening right now?
So I have not played any of these games, but I'm assuming it's just straight up musical chairs where it's just whoever clicks
last on the spot, I suppose. We'll pick up there's like 3 or 4 new mini games to play during the pause. I appreciate the effort because sometimes pauses can feel very stale. But
yeah,
no fun and games here. Let's get back to the action, it looks like.
It's one of the best things about the Battle Pass is it does bring more personality and entertainment to the games that are going on.
Absolutely.
Sometimes, the spamming of the chat wheel can get a little annoying to cast over, but for the most part, it's more of a benefit.
I like how Valve's like, well, tell what we'll do is we'll just have the octave continue to go up when they spam it. Yeah. So it's a little more fearful and crazy instead
really
of just
encouraging
repeating.
Teams to double down on just all having the same ones.
Absolutely. Still support battles here happening on the side. Solo XP from all fronts. The CS game looking really nice, certainly for Monkey King. 17 CS for Dream here, going to Boxy's 8 on the Beastmaster as he continues to eat these Thunder Strikes on the bottom
GPK
lane.
is owning mid lane. He's so far ahead in CS. I imagine that level 5 is really tough with the level 3 Shadow Rays. Each hit doing 230 damage. You get hit by 2 of them, that's like 600 damage almost, thanks to the stacking. But he's doing really well in CS initially. And if level 5 is hard, it doesn't really matter too much because as soon as you get your level 6, you can start rotating around the map if you want and give mid to somebody like the Disruptor or Earthshaker who could use the experience.
Oh, rotation to the bottom. They glimpse back Taiga, and Vampire rotated in for this setup. Gets that fissure. Can they clean their plate, though? Taiga tries to fend it off with the one, but they finish him off. They put the bounty on him too and pick it up.
Nice.
Dang, got to get those extra points, baby.
Okay, so things are going really well. GPK overplaying mid, I think. The Timbersaw matchup, that's just free for Blizzy, and then they just got a kill in bottom lane. It's going quite well for them. Yeah, Monkey King is top CS too. This is looking really good for Gambit so far.
GPK, a friendly tip to Insania, letting him know, I see you come into this mid lane. Don't try any funny business here. Insania will have to take his business back towards the top half of the map for setups there. You know, still leaving Mickey to the top lane on his own so they can each be winning in their own right. But, you know, Mickey, big breadwinner, 29 CS to his name, while Timber's at 19.
Yeah, that's a little bit surprising that Blizzy has missed some CS, because he can always just go behind the wave if he wants to get perfect CS.
Sorry to interrupt. We got a little trouble for Taiga here at the bottom. A jump in as they hold it off for GPK, and he does get the last hit. And now 2-0 for Gambit. Really nice early game starting to build together for them.
Yeah, a surprising rotation this early, but I guess he found a haste rune. Though it shouldn't have been surprising for Liquid since they did have a ward over that rune area.
You're right. They did. They certainly should have known it was coming, or at least were not paying attention in that moment. And now it's 5-minute bounty time. And it clearly looks like Gambit are going to maintain control of the bottom two bounties. We see Liquid on the move towards the northern half. They'll be scanned out. And it'll be 2 apiece, it looks like here.
So I played this matchup in the bottom lane before. Number of times, Beastmaster versus Monkey King, and it is a winning matchup for Monkey King early on. Unless somehow Beastmaster gets ahead and gets to like level 3 boars, that's when you really start feeling strong.
Here they make the move onto Dreamer, rotations in. Nice fissure block. Keeps the backstaff at bay, and they will not be able to pursue. Good interjection right there. And Gambit fend off any pressure from Liquid. You know, Liquid getting some work through this laning phase, but they're losing on the CS front on different sides of the map. And as they try to get a bit frisky now to make some maybe early kill objectives happen, they're falling a bit short.
Yeah, their support duo is not the... Like, this duo isn't very strong when it comes to rotating around, right? It's a limited amount of damage, it's okay disables, but mostly single target. They really aren't having the impact I think they're looking for to be able to offset such a nice triple raise from Koifa. That was quite good.
A battle over the runes, and Koifa is going to be able to get a good shoot down right there, and it will secure Liquid's first kill this game so far. You see Blizzy being the lawnmower here through a massive wave and neutral camp stack. He could be that snowbally hero that could suddenly just shine through the mid game. You do not want to sleep on your Timbersaws here, as he's building up for the Arcanes next. Still no call to action for him, but he'll always have those TPs in his pocket when necessary.
I can see one of the biggest issues here for Liquid is the fact that their hero that can change how this game is going right now, who can move around the map and gank, is their Ember Spirit. But he's also the best hero to be able to put a stop to the Timbersaw pushing, right? Beastmaster can't really do it at all. He really suffers against Timbersaw, and SF I just don't think wants to be in that lane that is very exposed. You're kind of on an island when you're up there in the safe lane tier 1 tower. It's so separated from everything else that it's very easy to get ganked. Simple smoke, wrap around behind the tower. Will just leave you dead every single time. So they don't really have somebody to go up there. As a result, Mickey, I think he feels like he's going to have to sit here in this top lane for a bit, which just means that bottom lane is going to suffer more, and there's free rotations in the mid.
Suffering in the bottom lane, as you say it. A good jump in and a great block again onto Boxy from that Earthshaker fissure. Allows GPK to move in there and get the clean kill. And they backpedal a bit, but a good strike on their front. And yeah, like you're talking about with Mickey in this top lane, it is... you know, it's kind of works out to his benefit. Maybe he's able to build forward into getting a Spirit Vessel that much sooner. And so whatever the Timbersaw is even able to build up for himself, he'll answer for it. So this Whack-A-Meepo is happening right now.
Very fun. We had some sort of bug because 5 different people of the players got disconnected. I got disconnected as well. So.
Oh, no. Oh, does this game do this the whole time during the pause? That's funny.
All right, that is going to get old at some point in time. Hearing him say "Meepo" over and over and over again, I could do without that.
Yeah, how long before the
there's a mute button. See, Valve think of everything.
Valve do think ahead.
God bless you. God bless you, Valve.
All right, obviously some new little kinks to be worked out from the Battle Pass. Hopefully nothing too detrimental. As I also got this game in the last game, I remember, too. So sometimes lightning strikes in certain directions, I guess. As we have the go call, we'll get back into it. Get these meepos off my screen. Thank you. As we get back underway. Pressure was coming out through that bottom tower from Gambit side after a successful pickoff, but they're not going to really follow through, it looks like, for now, on making a push happen. A double wave is coming the direction, but, I guess without the catapults and such, they need a little bit more to be able to get these kind of objectives done.
I believe the game plan from Liquid right now is just to hold and say, okay, the laning phase is going to be rough, like especially for this bottom lane. It sucks, but Mickey, he needs time to be able to, like, he's just going to be cutting waves against this Timbersaw because he can do that to slow him down. Once he has, like, Spirit Vessel, then we can hit, like, a really good early to mid-game stride. Right, like 15 minutes, the Timber Spirit will be a monster. He'll be very effective against all of these heroes. Like with Spirit Vessel, he's really good against both Monkey King and Timbersaw. So that is our time to change the game. But right now, it's just try and concede as few losses as possible. Let Koifa just play his time in the jungle. Let Mickey play up top lane and continue free farming. The supports and Boxy, they don't have a game, but we don't really have a great way to change that right now. So I mean, just deal with it.
When it gets to the point when they can actually go on the offensive, or if they get a good turnaround on the defensive and they happen to be there as a living witness, get the benefit of that XP, I guess, and try to get yourself back into the game. A great win condition and possible road to glory for Liquid there. On the other side, though, is Gambit, who have put themselves into a good early game position. And, we got to question it is what is there going to be objectives for them at this point. Mickey kind of up in arms with GPK. Gambit putting a little bit focus towards the northern half of the map now. They've been putting a lot of pressure towards Koikva and certainly on the southern half. But for the first time now, Blizzy adventuring away from the top lane a bit and GPK putting his attention up here could force Mickey to kind of look elsewhere now for some farm.
Yeah, I think they wanted to flush Mickey out so they can get a nice push going in the top lane and Timbersaw can take that tower bit by bit. They are going to kill Insania here. Again, it's the Liquid side. It's supports and off lane. You're probably used to this. It's just like, your game is going to be bad. Suck it up. Okay? You're just going to have to deal with some losses and not be able to get any kills for a while. That's just the way it's going to be. I think the other game plan for Gambit here is that, like, once they have level 6 on Disruptor, I think shutting down the Ember Spirit would be a really big play. Wherever he's farming up, if they can stall out this Spirit Vessel 1 or 2 minutes, it's pretty big because usually Spirit Vessel comes online before the Timbersaw has his Dispel item. And that is still a major factor, right? Even though they changed it into an aura where like 20% of it goes into this aura and then the other 35% comes from the active, it's still really important to have a Dispel item.
Oh, absolutely.
Because not only is it just about the 35% heal reduction, but it's also about the 4% per second of current health damage that is happening from the active, because Timbersaw has relatively high HP. So it really makes you a lot squishier. So if they can stall the Spirit Vessel a bit, then that'll allow Timbersaw to be able to kind of close that gap where he's kind of exposed. He gets some sort of Dispel item, Lotus Orb, Guardian Greaves, Fuel Scepter, something like that, and then he goes back to being this unkillable monster that they can play around.
Yeah, there was a bit of a deliberation on the panel about Spirit Vessel, and is it a micro buff? Is it micro nerf? I mean, I am for the side that it certainly feels like it's more of a micro buff, if anything. It goes from a position like Peter was talking about, where if you just have one of those ways to just kind of, purge away the Spirit Vessel, then it feels kind of useless. But at least for now, it has that aura. It has a little bit of something you can't dispel, and it'll always have an impact in a fight. You know, the numbers don't equal out the same once you put the active on there, but, you know, I'd say at least having that aura is better than nothing.
Yeah, and that's just on a single hero, right? In a full-out team fight, you have 20% across everybody, right? So I think it is a pretty big buff, but it's also to offset the nerfs that have happened to it, right? So there have been a couple of nerfs. First of all, they took away the win lace, but still kept the current cost. So it still is expensive, but they just took away that movement speed. And then on top of that, it used to be 70%. Heal reduction when it was the old active. Then they nerfed it to 60%, and then they changed it, splitting up the heal reduction and where it's affected. So I think Spirit Vessel is still in like a pretty good place right now. I mean, you're seeing all of these like any of the Spirit heroes, basically. Void Spirit and Ember Spirit, they both really like building Spirit Vessel because it just feels really nice, especially in this current meta where there are a lot of heroes that are exposed to it. Like, obviously, you need it in any Timbersaw game, but there's a lot of strength heroes like DK who are very popular that you need that item for.
It almost feels like it's a mandatory item almost in every game, just with how many meta heroes have heavy regen. You already mentioned those two. I know Necro's like another one.
Yeah.
You might have an Alchemist game suddenly on your hands.
Death Prophet.
Bristleback was the thing before.
Yeah.
Like, there's always a hero on one team, it feels like that. There's a good idea to get a Spirit Vessel. Maybe a little higher priority that you need to get it on a core hero like your Ember. Maybe a little less on a 4 position on another game. But it's one of those kind of items that it's going to be every game.
So I don't think the panel addressed Vengeful Spirit completely. But Peter did mention Insania is a bit of a hipster. He likes being able to come up with new things when it comes to Dota. And I think this Vengeful Spirit might be something that they feel, because Viking GG loved this hero.
Yeah.
And they just lost to Viking GG, in which case they drafted Venge twice. So Insania might be saying, this hero's not too bad. Let's try it out.
Okay, Taiga tries to bait him to the high ground so that Quakefoot can raise them down, and it will be a trade both sides. Both mid laners get a piece of that one. And, oh, man.
I was about to say, I was like, man, I just cannot seem to stay in the game. Well, apparently, neither can some of the Liquid members.
Oh, no, what is happening?
This has definitely been the roughest rollout of the Battle Pass. Really big. It's a great Battle Pass.
The biggest, I've heard.
But it's apparently the biggest patch that we've had.
That's what I've heard as well.
Which I'm surprised it was bigger than 7.0, but I guess purely content-wise, just pure memory. It's going to be really big for a Battle Pass type situation, so... Little things like, I'm sure, like this mini game during the pauses are
they had the new versus screen. Now, I swear, dude, last night I had a brief opportunity to kind of get my Battle Pass levels or whatever, and then try to just pub watch a couple of games to see some of the new stuff.
Sure.
And I hopped into a game as it was loading, and it showed the new versus screen, and then I heard some of the players voice chat as a spectator.
Oh, I think you tweeted out something about that.
I definitely heard voice chat.
I would not be surprised.
I'm not in a Discord or anything.
It would not be. I mean, even without the Battle Pass, we've had things like that happen before, right? Where the players are like, we can hear the casters right now.
Yeah, so I don't know if that was a freaky thing. I don't know if it was a feature that Valve said, yeah, we'll give the teams the opportunity to just smack talk.
Dude, I would love that. I think that would be so hype.
You know, but for the most part, I doubt players would be aware and they could suddenly say something they regret. Like, let's beat the hell out of these guys, but to a much more vulgar degree.
Yes, players do use some colorful and not necessarily PC language when they're talking Dota to each other. So
they just get very serious about the game. It's all love after, but not loving the pauses here, unfortunately, as it seems to be still some disconnection issues here.
What are the heroes you've been rocking lately, Dakota, when you've been playing Dota?
Tree, I mentioned before, has been something I was intrigued by watching Dubu play it a lot. And I'm like, I'm going to fart around with this Q ability a bit and see how good it can be.
Hey, you might be onto something, too. If you think it's strong, I know China is running it right now, and it's actually in that first pick, first ban territory for some of the teams. So they might know something that some of the other regions don't.
I realized I was not using the benefit of his nature's guys appropriately. I didn't know it's like once you're in the tree, like even if you take damage, you're still going to be in the tree and you're still going to be getting all that regen. I didn't know. So it's like you mainly just have one arm on the tree and the other arm punching them in the lane at one point.
It makes him an incredible tower defender because he's very hard to lock down. And you need very specific heroes to make it a lot easier, like Disruptor, for example, where Kinetic Field can hold him in an area and you get vision of him. without him running away. His Nature's Grasp, that big AoE spell that he has, is really good for... It doesn't do the most amount of damage, but it's great for being able to slow down a creep wave as it approaches a tower. And then obviously Living Armor has always been good. So any sort of tree game, you just become like this solo tower defender, and you always have a tower advantage, which allows your team to play 4 versus 5 really effectively because they should have a net worth lead.
I love my tree talk, but we're seeing Monkey King go down as we have action once again. Hopefully we get to keep it going. A nice successful rotation all the way through from Liquid to the top to get the jump onto Dream. Gambit, we're kind of sweeping in from behind, but don't quite follow through as they don't make it in time to really make an impact in that one. They'll wait for the return of the Monkey King and probably give it another try. But, man, as you can see, we are going through a serious set of disconnections.
Hey, this is the first disconnection I've lived through, so I'm finally staying in the game for once.
All right, so you asked me, Treon Protector, something I'm farting around with my schleppy bracket. What about you? Any new heroes you're kind of... I know you're doing the techies.
Yes, so all the 4 positions that... let's try not voice lining might be the reason. Good call.
Yeah, don't try any of the new Battle Pass stuff.
Yes.
Right?
Those features are also very oftentimes bugs. All those 4 positions that are kind of unusual that have been popping up in the meta, I finally broke down and was like, okay, I really got to play some of these heroes just to be able to be a little bit more informed in them. Zayat's really inspired me for ESL One LA, so I wanted to be able to play techies because when I watched him play techies, I was like, that's a techies I want to play.
Yeah.
You know, like when I watch like Sir Action Slacks, you know, play techies and he's sitting at his base, you know, for an hour and a half talking about just let him go high ground points. Like, I'm like, no, I don't want to play that at all. But Zayat's is aggressive. He's using a suicide pretty much off cooldown. And he plays with his team and backing them up with the mines. And I said, that's really cool. Weaver and Sniper have both been really big, and I understood Weaver pretty well, but there was little things that I didn't quite get. Like, as a 4-position Weaver, you actually are able to farm really quickly thanks to Swarm and Shukuchi. I did not realize it was that effective.
Oh, I would imagine so. And it's always nice to have scaling 4s that can make an impact later on.
Yeah.
And Weaver felt like he had just such a good spot with what the meta was when you have stuff like Coddle and these big white balls you could shoot down, or Tombstone's Phoenix Eggs. And here we see nice catch, grab onto Earthshaker, pull back there from Liquid. Taiga could pay the price for it, and it looks like it is going to be a good response kill. The assault continues here from Gambit to take this mid-tier 1. Both teams going to try to not do too many voice lines or new Battle Pass tactics so that we don't have more disconnects. Hopefully that's going to be the case here. So
to get back into this game, basically what the move that Gambit has made is they were able to make enough space for Blizzy to take that top tower. And what I love, what he did next was not go, oh, look at me, I'm so strong, I'm going to keep running down that top lane and go for the tier 2. Instead, he rotated into mid. And I think that like every Timbersaw, Centaur, that kind of hero, once you take the initial tower, you should always rotate into mid because of how important that tower is and how easy it is for you to pressure on both those heroes. So they put a little pressure there. They didn't finish off the tower by any means, but it did force Liquid to kind of group up and defend their middle lane. And now that just inherently buys a little bit of space for all of Gambit to spread out around the map. I'd like to see them make that play again, though, because if they could take away that tier 1 mid tower, it opens up them being able to invade into the triangle, especially if they take away the tier 1 offlane tower, though that's far less important. Taking mid tower and invading that triangle is really good for being able to limit the farm of heroes like SF and Beastmaster. They really like Ancients.
I could not agree more. They bought a lot of space as they stepped away from that mid lane for the time being. Timber able to farm all the way through that bottom lane. And here they are, like you mentioned, back in the mid lane, looking to finish what they started, claim this big objective, this big middle tower access point from Liquid, take it away, and open up the map more for yourself.
Yeah, I'm not a terrible fan of, like, once they spread out, Liquid was just hardcore farming. You could see how far ahead Koifa is right now in net worth. It would be really concerning to me if they didn't finish off this tower in the next 2 minutes.
Okay, grab on the Koifa here, hit him with a Thunder Strike. Gambit beat him back a bit. Yo, why does Koifa have this bluish aura on him? I'm not, like, what is that? It's like cool blue.
It was on Mickey last game too, though he had like a gold aura. So I have no clue what that is.
Well, Fortunately, another set of disconnects here. I didn't see any new voice lines or anything of that nature. I'm not too sure. But unfortunately, the plague continues on this one. So with Gambit kind of getting Liquid's attention now towards this mid lane, is it in Liquid's best interest to always be here to defend it as much as possible and with everybody at attendance, or should they be, having some additional priorities? Like Boxy here in the bottom lane, he's going to try to exchange a tier 1, it looks like.
I think very often they will need almost everybody to defend. The SF is needed there to be able to 1-2 shot the creep wave. But Timbersaw can still tank for the rest of the heroes. So you need, first of all, somebody to be there to save the SF. So that's Insania with his swap, so he always kind of needs to be around. And then you need another hero to threaten anybody who follows the Timbersaw in when it comes to hitting the tower. Because Timbersaw by himself, his right-click damage is obviously very weak. So he's not going to take it super quickly. But if he's joined by +1, like a Void Spirit or something, then you want to be able to have a hero there that threatens that. So either Ember Spirit or Beastmaster. Boxy is currently busy pressuring the side lane. So I like that idea, as long as one of them is available to be around mid.
Get back underway. The pressure continues from Boxy in that bottom lane, and we'll see what kind of attention Gambit can get from Liquid here on their mid lane pressure, leaving Lizzie at the helm to move in. Now jumps for Taiga, gets stunned up, followed from Mickey, going to be there. Fissure to stop Quakefoot in his tracks. Monkey King going to commit the ultimate. Dreams there behind, and they put some pressure onto Mickey. Quakefoot isolated by the Disruptor, still can't really participate in this fight.
Glimpse still,
he is
too.
Stuck inside the Monkey King ult. Finally glimpses back. Now commits the Requiem. Pretty good damage onto Dream. Follow-up going to be there from Mickey,
Oh,
and
no.
unfortunately, as we finally see our first team fight really begin to break out,
I was like, where's the follow-up here? Like, why is Boxy not, like, going in? They should just all commit to Dream right there. But, yeah, a very unfortunate disconnect.
Oh, it's unfortunate. I can imagine the players are going to be getting a bit more frustrated as this progresses if they can't even play the game appropriately.
Yeah, if they don't get this kill, then they're out of Spirit Vessel charges. And I have a feeling that maybe they won't, because Blizzy's going to be coming back in. Looks like Fissure is up in 2 seconds, and he still has Echo Slam. GPK has Ether Remnant.
Can just maybe get that swap back right there.
Yeah, maybe.
Boxy, yeah. Oh, boy, let's see if they can do it. They go for the swap. He sidesteps, but they finally finish him off. They'll get a couple of more charges to work with. The secondary swap's there. It's on the Timber. Even though Liquid do drop a couple during the skirmish, they come back in full force, are able to clean out another one and a fourth. Double kill for Insania. Double kill for Mickey.
I think that swap was like absolute max range. If they don't get the swap, then they can't get the raises to be able to finish him off. If they don't get the raises, they don't get the Spirit Vessel. They don't get the Spirit Vessel charges, they can't kill the Timbersaw.
Right?
So it all snowballed so heavily off of whether or not that swap is in range.
And if that pause came just a few seconds late,
exactly,
the range wouldn't have been there, and it could have been a different story. Crazy how things work out like that. It looks like Gambit will fend off at least the catapult pressure from this mid-tier 1 takedown. Liquid not kind of going on full force there. Now the glowing is on Mickey. I really don't understand what I guess it's like their kill streak, maybe? That's what it is? I don't know. I'm so intrigued.
Oh, yeah, that might be it. Because he's 3-0-2, so he's on a killing spree at least. I think they made a huge error here not focusing down Koifa when they had the opportunity.
Oh, yeah. It felt like only the Disruptor was kind of like keeping him at bay while they put most of their focus onto Mickey on the other side.
Yeah, Koifa is so much of their damage right now. He's the highest net worth hero as well. He's their carry. Ultimately, this is going to be the guy who outputs the most right-click damage later on.
Big jump onto Mickey. Live action here. We don't quite catch it, but they swarm up to the high ground. They have the Static Storm combo, and Mickey is not going to be able to make it away, and the chase continues as they look to get the grab on Insania. Dream's able to get the connection. The follow-up's there, and it's a double kill the other direction now. GPK go back on the assault, head north into Liquid territory, and are successful in catching out Mickey.
It looks like they also ran back and took mid-tower during that time as well. So Blizzy was able to claim that bounty. That was a really big move by them. I was a big concerned that they were going to lose their momentum, but they bring it right back with a nice smoke move, it looked like. Not 100% that was a smoke, but I assume so, the way they caught Mickey with the Disruptor.
For sure. They almost lose their mid lane just to a creep wave, but it just barely holds on here. They won't deny it quite yet, valuing that it's still going to kind of keep some pressure back in the meantime as they rotate through to this bottom lane here.
That's kind of interesting. GPK went for a maxed out Dissimulate build. I think there's two reasons you would want Dissimulate maxed out. One is because of the cooldown, so if you feel like there's a lot of things you could disjoint, really good to have it on low cooldown.
He flexes it right now onto Taiga. Catches him out from the front. They set the bounty onto Ember here as they get Boxy here with the stun. He commits out the roar but loses his life shortly after. Liquid Members now trailing in after the fact to see if they could scrape anything. They do manage to get a nice grab there onto Dream. The chase continues. Mickey on the prowl. Blizzy looks like the one they'll catch out. He's tanky though. They need those spirits. Vessel charges to do their work. Still. Swap back's there. There's the raise. They need a bit more. Not quite enough, but there they will get their finish. GPK not able to kind of fend them off, and just like we saw in the previous fight, Gambit rather start off strong, but Liquid Members roll in and clean out.
I didn't think about these other synergies with Venge, but she's so much stronger with SF than previously because of the race stacking. Like, Swap is just a perfect way to be able to get him like right in front of the SF. He just 1-2 races all the time. Same goes with Requiem with Souls, which it puts you feared for longer the closer you are to the SF. So this redirection that Venge is able to provide is really potent.
That's a good point. So Insania able to set up things nicely for Koikva on that front here. As we see, look at this, rotations from Gambit using that outpost in the top lane to jump all the way up to make the go for Taiga here. He's got the Yules, but here comes the response from Liquid. A glimpse to send them back, and they'll get the finish onto Taiga, but GBK is pretty low, has to hide within the trees. Can he find a pocket to make it out? Oh, the chains, and they got the vision. Nice grab there from Liquid. Gambit get a bit overexcited in that and not anticipate that Liquid would have such a big response team, it looks like, in that top lane.
Yeah, I feel like they're trying to push this too hard. They're closing in on Lotus Orb, and they also just now picked up Blink Dagger on Earthshaker. If this was somebody like Secret, I feel like Secret would have waited for that time.
Yeah.
They're so good at reading their power spikes, and when they're super strong, they would have said, like, okay, we're like 500 gold from some really important items. Let's just take a moment to farm before we try and get aggressive again. But as a result of Gambit trying to push things too much, too quickly, they're going to give up Roshan. And so now, even though you have this Blink Dagger, you may not be able to fight.
Oh, and they happen to be in the neighborhood to just kind of scout things out, and they make Lizzie pay for being a witness to the Roche murder. And I'm glad you did bring that up because, yeah, Liquid have kind of just set themselves up to be in a good position, and I was anticipating that Gambit had at least some decent money going, that they were going to have that Earthshaker blink for that skirmish top, but as I clicked on him, you had brought it up. He wasn't ready yet, but he has it now. So yeah. This, I imagine, has to be Gambit's time to strike if they cannot make some big work out of this blink.
The thing is that they're fighting into an Aegis, which you just usually don't want to do. If they think the SF is completely solo because he has an Aegis, great. They can try and pick it off, but the truth is he's not. Insania is right behind him, as is Boxy.
Oh, wow. I mean, Earthshaker shows himself, but with Koikva walking forward, they should get the impression that Koikva may have help nearby, and that is the case. After he commits the dunk, they just swap him back, and that's 2 ultis in an unsuccessful kill of Koikva.
In older days of Dota, it would be very common to pick up the Aegis and then have that hero play solo on one side of the map. Yeah. And then people kind of learned from that and said, okay, when he does that, let's just try and take away that Aegis and back out immediately. Liquid, though, I like the fact that they are playing around their SF. I really don't think they need to do anything else. Let Mickey clean up the other 2 lanes at all times, but just keep playing around SF. He's so strong right now. He's got Chrysalis, BKB. He hits for, like, over 250 damage a hit, and that's before you get like Wave of Terror that comes in to lower people's armor. That's before he's got like Inner Beast buffing up his attack speed even more.
Yeah, he's yoked out of his goddamn mind. I get what you're trying to drop right now.
Hell, they're even giving him the ice armor buff too.
He's got everything here. He's a behemoth as he ascends to the high ground now to unleash his fury onto this tier 3. We have to see if Gambit can stop them in their tracks in some fashion. They're trying to split pressure out as long as they can before it's mandatory for them to attend this defensive meeting. And they're trying to participate. Koikfa, though, obviously, with that Aegis, happy to be out front. They commit the Static Storm, but the swap back's going to be there onto GPK, and they lock him between those back lines. The Requiem goes out, but the Yules is there, and only delays the inevitable. He's going to be down and out nearly 50 seconds without a buyback. Liquid get another as Blizzy's going to be dropped. Mega kill streak for Koikfa. That bluish glow just gets brighter and brighter as he just fights his fury on forward. This Rax is set to fall. Are they going to break the will of Gambit here enough to force out the white flag, though? Well, they'll take their Rax and they'll walk away with big winnings here.
Gambit will probably hold on for one more fight just because they do have a tier 2. But they need to be able to like simultaneously wait out Aegis and stall this game so Liquid doesn't go high ground immediately again.
Oh, they've spotted out Earthshaker. Earthshaker will fall 30 seconds. He had Echo in about 15 seconds time. And I imagine that's going to be a tool they want to wait for their final hurrah, if you will. But Liquid not letting up one bit. Oh, snap. Who's calling out the bounty here? Gambit say, we got our eyes on Koikfa. Hey, good luck with that.
Yeah, I mean, that is the person that... Because you can't just ignore him. Just because he has Aegis, because he outputs too much damage. Look at him. He now has the Solar Crest on him. Good lord.
Yeah, what are you going to do? You jump him. He has
The
so
attack
much
speed's out of
support
control.
nearby. Yep, there he goes. All right, here's Earthshaker back. They got the Blink Duck. This is going to be the final hurrah, I'd imagine, for Gambit. A big swap from Insania to pull Blizzy right inside. He throws his own life away to take down the machine, and they're successful in it. So now 4v4 without worrying about Timbersaw. Jump in from GPK. Can he draw them close together for the setup from Earthshaker? He has no blink available, and they're going to lose Yol here, it looks like. Yol was able to get off his Stack Storm combo. Vampire moving in. Here's the dunk. And it's a dunk of his corpse onto the ground, unfortunately, as he falls flat on his face, and they throw out the towel.
And he's like, I'm coming, boys. I'm running for it. And then Koikfa just pops BKB, and he just stands there like, oh, well,